Let me guess, you signed up for every free lead magnet and binged on every marketing YouTube video and thought, what am I missing? Why isn't my business exploding like that? Well, I can tell you, you're not alone. Whether you're just getting started or have an established business, entrepreneurship can be really lonely. But it doesn't have to be. Overcoming your fear of launching or building your personal brand or figuring out how to scale, it shouldn't be holding you back. It should be empowering you. On this podcast, we're going to deep dive into the mechanics of what it takes to build your brand, make your mark, and stake your claim in the digital marketing space. I'll be chatting with people from all walks of life and stages in their careers. I will be getting inspiration from real experts who will share their actual strategies and techniques to grow loyal and raving followings and sell more stuff. This is entrepreneurship from people who are already there making it happen. My name is Jeff Mendelson. Join me and welcome to the One Big Tip podcast. So I'm really excited to be recording this podcast. I'll tell you why. I have a very interesting origin story that I'd like to share with you. The year was 2006. My kids were 3 and 1 years old at the time. I had just finished my MBA. It was an executive program where I went to school every Saturday for 2 years, all the while I was holding down a 9-to-5 job. But I got to tell you, I was bored. You see, nothing about my day job was particularly challenging. My career always vacillated between technical sales support and pre-sales technical positions. I was always being looked up to as a subject matter expert, but never having the authority to affect change, to make commission, to make stuff happen. And frankly, I just needed a change. So while I was making okay money, it just never seemed to be enough. So just think back to where we were in this country in 2008. The subprime mortgage crisis was ramping up. And while I was very fortunate to be gainfully employed at the time, all of my neighbors were going into foreclosures left and right. It was a particularly scary time to be building a family, holding down a job, and frankly, just cranking up a side hustle. I had preschool to deal with. I had plus all of those expenses that revolve around growing a family, like diapers, sitters, and cable TV and all that other stuff that I needed to take care of. But I'll tell you, I just wasn't fulfilled at all. I was bored at work and nothing was challenging me. At the MBA classes, for example, I was hanging around all kinds of other ambitious people, all trying to get a leg up. So that was inspiring. But I knew that the current path that I was on wasn't going to be doing me any favors. Furthermore, I knew that the companies that I was working for all had some sort of financial constraints. So there weren't any real opportunities for me to earn bonuses or to earn stock options or any real other ways to get ahead. And all the while I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard to build someone else's dream? I knew that as a mid-level employee, I was just as expendable as the rest of them. So I was desperately looking for something else, something that I could control, to control, finally, my own destiny. I really felt stagnated. When I graduated with my MBA, I was so sure that Microsoft or Google was going to be calling me any minute. You know what I heard? Crickets. Here I was, MBA graduate, fluent in 3 languages, tons of enterprise tech experience, and I couldn't get out of this cubbyhole that I felt stuck in. I also grew pretty cynical about working in corporate. I mean, I was always praised for being efficient, creating tools that people could use to make their work more efficient, and I was winning awards. You know those awards. Employee of the Month, Most Productive Employee of 2008, etc. Everyone was telling me that I was a shiz, but none of that was translating into anything exciting, either in my boat of responsibilities or in the paycheck that I was ultimately receiving. You know what was the worst for me? I managed to get an in-person interview with a large tech company based in Silicon Valley. They flew me out for a day's worth of interviews, and overall they went well for part of the day. But then when they started harping on my side hustles, which I never hid and I was actually quite proud of, I got really annoyed fast. What annoyed me about this was that here I was sitting in San Jose, California, the cradle of US technology integration. And here's this HR lady telling me that I needed to quit my side hustles, which weren't even direct or indirect competitors with her for that matter, in order to get the position that they wanted to hire me for. And you know what happened? Something in me snapped. I tanked the interview in a polite but go F yourself manner. I stayed the weekend in San Francisco on their dime. And let me tell you, it was glorious. And it wasn't that weekend that was so eye opening for me. I just couldn't imagine why a company that large felt so threatened by my small side hustle. I mean, why should they care what I do with the other 12 hours that I have in the day? I was angry and I was hurt, but now I was resolute. I wasn't going to let any corporation, large or small, dictate who I was going to be. I possessed actionable and valuable knowledge that many people and companies could and should pay me for. So I decided to go full force into developing my side hustle into something bigger. I knew that I needed to create a business that would not only pay me my full value, but would also be able to give me the freedom to not be changed to a desk and have to drive across town every day just to be on time with at an office that had free coffee. At first, I thought I wanted to join the real estate bubble. Join the one out of every 8 citizens in the state of Florida who had a real estate license. But I soon realized that I couldn't sell a mortgage. I couldn't even sell a refinance mortgage to my brother. I had messed that up so bad, and I just couldn't figure out what the hell I was doing. This definitely was not for me. So, how did I focus my energies after that? I knew that every real estate agent needed a website. So, I grabbed one of those real estate guides that you pick up from the local supermarket and I checked out my competition. And I know all of them had really crappy websites. So, I decided to try to make something better. What I realized after 6 months of trying to be a real estate mortgage broker was that I was much better at building websites than I was at selling mortgages. So I started hustling for web development, web maintenance projects, on Elance, which is now called Upwork, freelancer.com, guru.com. I also figured out pretty early that I could make some residual income by selling website hosting and providing better and personalized service for my clients. So I started to teach myself. Now, keep in mind, I still had a day job. I did this on company time. Everything that I could about creating websites. I researched every content management system and taught myself advanced HTML, PHP, SQL, all of those technologies that we all use today, whether you realize it or not. My first real client from Elance ended up being a $10,000 project over 3 months. And I got to tell you, those results aren't typical. Not everyone is going to be making that right out of the bat, but I got lucky. Then I connected with another marketer who had a portfolio of 50 plus Joomla sites, and her current web guy was practically raping her on the per hour fees. And I knew that that type of work she needed wasn't that hard, and I could knock it out fairly easily, even during my day job. So I put together a monthly retainer for her, and boom, now I had recurring revenue, and now I was hooked. So the first thing I needed to figure out was time. How do you prep two toddlers for preschool, fight the commute, be present at work, commute back, have dinner with the family, put the kids to bed, study? Remember, I'm going to school at all during all this, and then knock out any pending issues and somehow get enough rest to do it all over again tomorrow? Well, I took a really big shortcut, and thank God for the internet. You see, during my day job, I was never really challenged. I managed to finish up my real work by 11:30 a.m. So the rest of the time, I was just banging away on that keyboard, teaching myself programming languages, learning new technologies, and creating the illusion that I was really, really productive. I suppose that if I would have focused more, even more on my day job, I probably could have progressed a little bit more. But with every mind numbing performance review, every bullshit personality and political conflict, I simply stopped caring. So I was so fortunate that in January 2009, I was fired for the last time. I couldn't have been more relieved. But you know something? Now I was running scared. I mean, it's very easy to wrap up your identity into your job, right? That thing that you go to for 8 to 10 hours a day and that you know that the money is going to hit the bank every 2 weeks. How on earth was I going to afford my $5 a day Starbucks habit now? How was I going to pay my mortgage? But I knew that I couldn't go back. I mean, what's the point? Find another company that wasn't keeping my best interests at heart? I mean, at this point, I had spent nearly 10 years always looking for a job. Even when I was relatively secure in one, I was always gazing somewhere else. If I was making $60,000 a year, how could I possibly make 75? But why stop there? Why not go up to 95,000? I mean, at that point, I knew I was thinking way too small. Do you know what happens when you're laid off, fired, or let go? Your whole life frees up. Now you're free to focus on the next steps, not the what ifs, not the I don't have time for that. I started building a business, not a new job for myself, but a business that makes me money in my sleep. So I proceeded to build my business. I knew that establishing a digital marketing agency required multiple talents and hats to wear. I also knew that I wasn't the one to wear all of those hats. So I mapped out a plan to ensure that with the services that I offer, even if I didn't immediately have the requisite skills in place, I would be able to hire them out. I mean, fighting off imposter syndrome, every time someone asked me for a skill that I didn't excel in, I immediately studied my ass off until I was proficient at it. And while I never oversold or sold vaporware, I ensured that whatever project I took on was was part of the core offering of my business. So where am I now? I have a digital marketing agency that provides services for a plethora of clients. I manage teams located around the world. I've created a lifestyle that allows me ample time to be with my family, as well as work from, well, wherever. I mean, I'm practically location independent at this point, as well as having a home base to spend some quality time with my kids. And that's really the holy grail for the work that I do. So, with this show, it's my goal and sincere desire to show everyone how I did it, how to find the right tools, who are the right people to network with, and frankly, just to get up off your ass and get it done. So, this is my attempt to pay it forward, and I hope you benefit from it. I hope you enjoy the show.